Welcome back, everybody. The History Guy here, and this is episode 5, playing as the United States on Millennium Dawn, which is a modern-day mod for Hearts of Iron 4. We are just cleaning up the mess of a little bit of territory that seems to have been left behind by Colombia in my conquest. But we've now got this toehold in South America, so this episode is going to be all about trying to expand that and eventually take over all of South America before we start looking elsewhere. Hey! This is actually fantastic news. The Russian Federation has invited us to join the CSTO faction. So that's going to put us in the same faction with India, China, and Russia, along with other countries. That is phenomenal. Basically, CSTO can do whatever the heck we want at this point. As you can see, I mean, nobody's going to stand up to that. So I should pretty much have free reign to deal with South America. I might even get some help from some others. But let's go ahead and dive into this episode. We'll start preparing. We'll go after Venezuela next. First things first, though, I need to get the rest of my divisions down here, and that may take a little bit of time. All right, so we're going to max out infrastructure everywhere in Venezuela. That's going to hopefully give me that supply flow that I will need as I start invading these other countries. I'm also going to have to max out a naval base to make sure supplies are coming in that way. So that's really all I'm constructing right now is just massive amounts of infrastructure all the way along. Eventually, we'll work on some other things like building up the air bases, but I don't think air power is going to be a huge concern for me down here in South America. I think the divisions that I've got into place or that are moving into place should be more than enough. I've got another army with 13 divisions, fresh divisions, that have just been created. They're going to come in and they're going to move in down here along my southern border with Peru. And then eventually I'll put an army on the Ecuador border as well. But I don't think I'll need all of that. All right, there's our justification against Hugo Chavez's Venezuela. So his time is at an end. And I don't think we'll call our allies. I think we can handle this one just fine on our own. But if we get into any trouble, we certainly know who to call. I don't expect this will last very long. Once we take Caracas, that should be pretty much it. Let's see how many divisions Venezuela actually has. They've got 11 to 15, but that's really not going to do them a whole lot of good. All right, Somalia has joined the ranks of the CSTO. Congo has capitulated. I believe Bosnia has also capitulated, which ends a couple of the conflicts that were happening. Yugoslavia has consolidated more of their power. That quiets things down a little bit in Central Africa with Congo and Rwanda there. But I believe there's still a fight happening over here in Southeast Asia. Remember, Japan has been conquered by China. China's having a little bit more trouble against Vietnam, though I'm not entirely sure why, except that they're probably just not pushing real hard there. And it's also interesting that China would go to war with Vietnam because they're both communist countries, but who knows. So we've got a call to arms request against Jubilant. Okay, sure, why not? I don't know who Jubilant is, but they're obviously an enemy of ours, so we're going to find out who that is. The Russia-Jubilander War. All right, Russia, have at it with Jubilant. I'll have to figure out where they are so we can see what's happening. Are they over here in this little area here? I think that might be where they are. So here's Jubilant. They're actually a little piece of Somalia that has carved off and declared its independence, apparently. So I don't imagine that will last all that long. But let's go ahead and take a look and see, now that we're in mid-January of 2008, how things are going against Venezuela. They're going pretty well. I just think we need to take Caracas to finish this off. We're still getting everybody joining this little war in the eastern part of Africa. So really very little in the way of resistance happening. Venezuela has lost 11,000 men, and I have actually lost 124 fighting against Venezuela thus far. It's the middle of February now, and we had some supply issues which kind of slowed down the advance of my army, but we are now on the verge of taking Caracas, and I'm hoping that that will be enough, as we are currently 71% toward capitulation. So we'll see if taking Caracas is enough to get that done. It'll be in about a little less than 4 days that that'll happen. And I'm feeling pretty good about things. So now, once that happens, I've got a pretty substantial force getting into position down here along this western side of things. So I'm thinking that Ecuador is the next domino to fall. And we'll go ahead and start justifying that. It's also only going to take 10 days. And I think we'll just go with the divisions that are there. I think that's probably going to be enough to get that done. And not a lot of territory there, so I expect that'll happen relatively quickly. It may even happen before I finish off Venezuela. All right, we're at 98% on Venezuela's capitulation because I took a couple of cities and then he went over and snuck in and took one of mine. So I'm going to take that back. Meanwhile, we're ready to declare war on Ecuador. I expect this to go much, much faster. And of course, they immediately join the enemy faction, as all are doing at this point. But I don't expect this one to take nearly as long as Venezuela did. Much smaller country, much less territory to deal with. From there, I don't know if I want to just probably march my way through these couple of smaller territories, because that's going to give me an awfully long border to spread out on against Brazil. My main concern is that in attacking Brazil on this side, I have to go through the Amazon, and that is going to take forever. You know, most of Brazil that I want to go after is down this way, so maybe I just march my way down through South America and then eventually go after Brazil from this side. I think that's probably the way to go. So we'll pretty much avoid them. So we'll take a two-pronged strategy. We'll deal with these three up here, and then we'll march our way down through Peru that way. China wants a bailout. How much is... That's going to cost $1 trillion. No. No, I'm just trying to get out of debt. Not going to happen. All right, how are we coming on Venezuela? That should be it for them, no? Yeah, we're at 100%. We're just waiting for another day to tick by so that it can be official. There we go. Venezuela's out. But again, we've got this little bit of territory that decides to hold out. We just have to march in and actually take for some strange reason. But meanwhile, we're marching through Ecuador. Well, it's taking a while, but my troops are slowly but surely getting onto the border with Guyana. So we're going to go ahead and deal with this. Revenge for Jim Jones. If you're not familiar with what happened there, there was a cult here in the United States, I believe it was in California, back in the 70s, led by a guy named Jim Jones. And when they started feeling a lot of pressure in the United States, he actually moved 1,000 or so of his followers to Guyana. And there was a U.S. congressman who went down there to investigate reports that some of the people were being held there against their will, and children, were being abused, things of that nature. When he came there and investigated, he actually made contact with some of the people who wanted to leave, and he tried to leave with those folks, and they were ambushed at the airport by some of Jim Jones's followers. The congressman and others were murdered, and then Jim Jones basically got everybody in his cult to either kill their children or kill themselves. 900 or so people ended up drinking poison Kool-Aid. So that's where they get the term, that phrase, drinking the Kool-Aid. In other words, kind of not really thinking about what you're doing, but just doing what you're told. It came from Jim Jones kind of instructing all his people to drink this poison Kool-Aid and kill themselves. And just a horrible, horrible thing that happened. But that happened in Guyana. That's what made me kind of think of all of that. Things are going well here in Ecuador. It's just a matter of time. And then we'll take Guyana. We'll continue to send these troops down into Suriname. And then we've got French Guyana, which is actually owned by France. So we'll leave that alone for now. Well, maybe not. Maybe that's a good way to go to war with France. I was thinking about maybe just declaring war on someone over here that's not part of the CSTO, just to get a nice war going in Europe, because it hasn't happened so far. So let's take a look at the factions map mode. So we don't really have... it looks like Ukraine is not part of CSTO, so maybe that's the place to start. So just by declaring war on them, I'm basically going to drag everybody else into it. So let's go ahead and justify a war goal on Ukraine. Not that I have any interest whatsoever in Ukraine right now, but it'll certainly make things more interesting over there because that'll get Russia. Russia doesn't have any armies. Where the heck is Russia's army? They must have sent their divisions elsewhere to fight. Well, that's going to be a problem then, Russia. I'm sorry. All right, so let's see what's happening here. Ecuador has all but fallen. It looks like we're just waiting on our last few territories to make that happen. And by then, we will be invading Guyana. There we go. Let's go ahead and declare this war. We'll send these 2 armies to deal with them. Hopefully a little easier to deal with because we don't have all the mountains that we're dealing with over here in Ecuador right now. So really at this point, I'm just trying to be an agent of chaos with what I'm doing over in Europe. Non-aggression pact from Chile. No, I don't think so. We need one more victory point taken here in Ecuador to finish them off. They're at 98% right now toward capitulation. I have not yet been able to move anywhere into Guyana except that's about to happen here in the next 35 hours or so. And the declaration of war against Ukraine is just about ready to go. We've got 2 days to go on that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Ukraine actually may take some of Russia's territory because I am going to call the allies on that war and get them all involved and just kind of be like the Joker in Batman. Just I want to watch the world burn. So let's do this. All right, here we go. Let's declare war on Ukraine. UK and Germany are going to get involved in that. Excellent. The more, the merrier. Let's see who jumps in on this bad boy. Here they come. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody's in this war. War in Europe has begun, folks. I'm just going through all of them. Let's see it go. All right, Russia, you're going to need an army. I don't even know if Russia is one of the people who declared on this one, but I guess we'll find out. That didn't really change the balance of power in any significant way, but it certainly should make things more interesting. It looks like Romania has already landed in Ukraine. And it looks like they're moving up Crimea as well. So Romania is going to be the main ones to get this done for now until Russia rushes some units down there to help out. All right, Ecuador should be just about out of the way here. We're about 98% toward taking this territory. All right, we're at the end of May and Ecuador has capitulated, so we'll go ahead and get reset and prepare for the invasion of Peru. Meanwhile, same thing here in Guyana. We just took the capital of Georgetown, so I don't know how far. It looks like we've got just a little bit left to go to finish off Ecuador, and it's probably going to involve taking this territory down here. Let's see what's happening in Europe right now. Oh, Ukraine's actually doing quite well for themselves. And I kind of expected that because Russia had no troops on that border whatsoever. Meanwhile, there's some conflict going on with Belarus, but Romania is starting to do kind of poorly as well. So I may have actually helped Ukraine out a little bit through that war. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what in the world Russia's doing. They've got to have an army somewhere. Let's see what they've got. They've only got 11 divisions. What in the world is one of the largest, most powerful countries on Earth doing only having 11 divisions? I have no idea. How many factories do they have? So we've got 11 divisions, 109 factories. We've got 163 ships, 44 military factories. So it's not because they don't have the ability to produce, and it's not because they don't have the estimated manpower needed. I don't know what the deal is there. I guess we'll find out. And June 11th, we take Guyana. So now we get into position. My troops are pretty much ready to go against Ecuador. We might need just a little bit longer, but I'll go ahead and get that fired up. Not Ecuador, Peru. We already took Ecuador. So we're marching along, and I'm doing a pretty good job of keeping up with the needs of my reinforcements. There hasn't really been too much of a concern with that. These are all relatively small countries, and I haven't lost very many men at all. So South America East is this force up here. This is the last country I need to take on this side, and then we'll just line up against Brazil at that point. And we'll let the South America West force take those other countries down south. Eventually, I'll probably send some more units down here because Argentina may be a difficult one for me, but we'll see. So there's our justification. I want to pause here for a second because I'm thinking about my economy, and if I change my economy to an export economy, I think I might free up a bunch of new factories to work on these construction projects. As quickly as I'm conquering this territory, I'm needing vast amounts of infrastructure to keep the supplies flowing, as well as naval bases to import it as well. Supply is the only thing that's going to slow my armies down at this point. And as I'm conquering new territories, I'm gathering a lot more resources that I don't need to use for my production. So I think I'm going to go ahead and switch over to an export economy and see if that'll get me the trade that I need to get a lot of new factories available for me. So we're going to find out if that's the case. And if so, that's going to really give me a boost on this. Yeah, it already has. That's given me a bunch of new civilian factories. So now I'm working on a lot more infrastructure all at once. That's really going to speed things up. And I still have enough for all of my production needs. Well, actually, I'm a little short, but that's not really a big concern for me because I've got a surplus in almost every category of military production right now, and I've got the armies in the field that I need to do everything that I want to do. So let's go ahead and declare war on Peru. And as usual, they will join the enemy faction. Not a big deal. We move the armies out. And we're preparing at Suriname as well. I think we're just waiting. Yeah, we got to wait for 30 days, so we got a couple of weeks yet on that one. Let's see what's happened in Europe. Ukraine continues to gobble up territory. They've taken some Russian territory. They've stabilized in Romania and even taken a little bit. They've held the Crimea down here, and they're now moving into Belarus. So you're welcome, Ukraine. That was a favor for you because I wanted to kind of make things interesting. Let's do the same somewhere else, shall we? Who else is not yet involved in a war and needs to be? I don't know. I can't justify because, well, why can't I justify against Turkey? Oh, we have a non-aggression pact with my faction leader, which is not me. Oh, well. All right, we'll find some other places to do some chaos here before long. Big deal in Russia. There's a new leader, Vladimir Zhirinovsky. So Putin is no longer in command over in Russia. So I don't know what that's going to mean for our alliance. I don't know what it's going to mean for the world. But it'll be really interesting to see how that all shakes out. So as soon as the autosave is done here, which takes forever, and I made the mistake of starting to record at that moment. Now Finland has joined the CSTO. So whatever happened with Russia's new government, it was enough to get that to happen. They've got a new flag and everything. Look at that. Russian state. China overwhelmingly has the most influence on them. But at least for now, I mean, things are all good. We are moving into Peru. It's going to be slow going. I think this one's going to take a while, especially because so much of their major cities are along this area with mountains. Poland just joined our faction. So new countries are joining now that Russia has made this change in government. So I guess that's been a helpful thing. Slovakia joined the Russian state. Finland has joined the war. So Slovakia has become part of Russia? Is that what am I understanding this right? Or is it just a new... Okay, they just joined the CSTO, and for some reason it said it that way. That was kind of weird. It made it seem like Slovakia actually became a part of Russia, which is obviously not what happened. They just, along with Poland, have joined our faction. Let's take a look at the faction now. You can see most of those old European bloc countries are a part of it. Romania, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Poland, Belarus, and Slovakia. And, of course, facing off against them are the Organization for International Security, which has Sweden, Germany, Ukraine, and then some... Ethiopia, some other African powers, and what's left of Vietnam. You can see Vietnam is finally starting to fall to the Chinese and allied forces. Meanwhile, over here in South America, we're about to declare war on Suriname, and we are moving down the coast in Peru, but a long way to go before that war is over. I think while I'm thinking ahead, I'm going to start ramping up how much military production I'm doing, because at some point it's not going to be enough to just be going after South Africa or South America. I'm going to want to be going after some European powers and establishing a presence over there, and I'm going to need a much bigger military for that. So we're going to go ahead and increase our military spending, and then we'll raise taxes to match as needed. So we could go total war, which obviously is going to greatly increase my expenditures, but it's going to raise my amount of recruitable population significantly. It's going to do a lot of other things as well. I don't know if I can actually do that yet. Yeah, I can. Okay. So let's see what impact that has. It's obviously, there's the justification for Suriname. Now we're at a debt at this point. So we're going to raise taxes by 2%, which will cover that. All-out war going on in Ukraine. So I'm going to start building up my army, with the idea being that we'll start building up another force in addition to the ones in South America, because I want to open up another front so that in the next episode we can start fighting in Europe or Africa as well. All right, South America East, go. So we'll have our divisions down here in South America, but we'll also, India wants to join, that's fine. We'll also get the Enduring Freedom Theater build up, as well as the American Theater. Oh, wait, we're at war with Brazil. Okay. So Brazil has jumped in on this thing. I guess Suriname was a bridge too far for them. So we've got all of these forces right here that we're going to need to get on the border with Brazil. So let me go ahead and organize all of that, and then we'll, I guess, start marching in from right here through the Amazon. Well, I was over here looking at things in Russia. Suriname has capitulated, so they're out. I was just noticing how close the Ukrainians are getting to Moscow. But there are some divisions that are coming in to help out. It looks like Yugoslavia has sent divisions to help out. Poland's got divisions in there now. So Russia is not defending herself, but Yugoslavia and Poland are doing their best. And you can see a bunch of Vietnamese, no, these are North Korean divisions have come over to help shore things up. There are some Russian divisions starting to get into the action. So North Korea to the rescue of the Russians, since they won't do it themselves. And now that we've finished off Suriname, that gives us another border here. Actually, no, it's a non-passable border with Brazil. So this is really the only way we can enter right here. Things are going pretty well down here in Peru. We're just marching down toward Lima. We'll take these couple of cities here, and that should be it for them. And then I think we'll hold off on attacking anybody else until we deal with Brazil. And I'm expecting that my allies will send troops eventually to help out with that, though they've certainly got their hands full already. So as an agent of chaos, I think one place we can certainly do that would be to go ahead and declare war on South Korea. So let's go ahead and fire that up. That'll take 10 days. That's kind of the one place that's still sitting there needing to be dealt with before China and North Korea can really just free up those divisions. So if they can deal with that, China can come in from one side, North Korea from the other, then that frees up having to have any divisions here to deal with all of that. So Vietnam is nearly out of the picture. They've just got a couple of pockets of resistance left, and that'll be done. So we'll declare that war. We'll see how it goes, and then I think we'll wrap this episode up. And so kind of thinking ahead, what's going to happen next is my next episode will be wrapping up South America, especially Brazil, and then turning our attention to where we can get involved in the wars in Europe. Maybe dealing with Portugal and landing there. Or maybe I come down here and I grab somebody in Africa first as a staging point for an invasion of the Iberian Peninsula. But let me know your thoughts on that. Use the comment section below. Tell me, where do you think I should go? Should I go Africa first and then launch an invasion of Europe? Or should I just go directly for Europe? It's going to mean establishing naval supremacy and then getting my landings going. I just feel like it might be easier to get Africa first. But that'll be the next episode. But let's give it a few days here, and we'll allow a little bit of fighting to go on in Korea and see if that resolves itself fairly quickly. Oh my, war in the Middle East. Israel has declared war on Qatar, whatever that is how you like to pronounce that. So that's coming down the pike here pretty soon. But I'm just checking to see how long I've got until we're ready to declare war. All right, we've got 3 days still. Okay, here we go. So I completed the national focus, and we are ready to declare war on South Korea. Bring the chaos. Let's call the allies, so get everybody involved in that one. And now all of that's going to fire, and we are going to just kind of watch this for a little bit and see what happens. So we're making inroads in Brazil. Still got divisions that are getting into position. It just takes so long for everybody to move, and there's issues of supply even now. So I am continuing to try and ramp up infrastructure in these areas. You can see I've got orders to max out infrastructure everywhere, but it just isn't happening yet. So as that happens, supplies will move more freely. I've got naval bases being built. I've got air bases being built. And over here now in Europe is the situation. It looks like Ukraine's starting to lose now. Enough of our allies got divisions over there to compensate for Russia's complete lack of any kind of military presence whatsoever on their eastern front or their western front. North Korea so far losing, but again, you can see China's starting to maneuver. They'll probably land on the south coast, and then that'll change really rapidly. But we're going to wrap it up right there. It's a little shorter episode, but everything takes so long at this point because the game sims so slowly that I think we'll wrap it up. We're doing about a year an episode here. So like I said, next episode, wrapping up South America and then deciding where to go in the Eastern Hemisphere. So let me know your thoughts on that. Please hit like if you would, and we will see you again soon with another episode. Thanks for watching.